a tech video. This is just going to be a sort of informative video for anyone out there that's, and I'm sorry if there's like noise around, but I'm still here in Saigon, in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, and I thought I would show you about my bike and sort of go over things if you're planning on doing a motorbike trip in Vietnam, sort of some good things to think about. So the first thing you have to sort of think about is what route do you want to take? Do you want to go from the south, from Saigon up to Hanoi, or do you want to do what I did, which is go from Hanoi to Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City? It doesn't matter which way you say it. So I went north to south. That is a little bit more uncommon. Most people seem to go south to north, but there really isn't any difference. In terms of route, you can go in a lot of ways. I did a mix of like Highway 1 and the Ho Chi Minh Highway, and it's all kind of good. It really just depends on which cities you want to go to and which places you want to go. So basically I'll show you the route that I took right now. These were all the places I went, sort of in sections. I'll show you the legs I did. Of course, when I was in those cities, I went to places around them. I went and did touristy things and all of that stuff. But this is the route I took from Hanoi down to Saigon, and it was really good. I hit a lot of the main places. I didn't do probably as much as I should have in the north, but I was a bit concerned about time. So maybe you would probably want to do more in the north than me. But this is the route I took. The best road by far, and it's one that everyone knows, is the Hai Vinh Pass. That is just absolutely awesome. You're gonna love that. It's between Hue and Da Nang, and that is just like one of the best roads I've ever been on. So you definitely want to do that. Next is to pick your bike. So I obviously picked the Honda XR 150L. This is my bike. This is a very popular one as well. I named this one the Mighty One. If you don't understand why it's called that, then you probably need to read this book right here or watch the movie. So yeah, this is the bike I took. Now this is very good. The XR is a really good bike. You obviously have very big suspension, which is good. It's very rugged, it's very reliable, and it's built by Honda Japan as opposed to some of the others, so like Hondas or Yamahas or things like that that will be built by Honda or Yamaha, but in Vietnam, I believe, or maybe other countries. So this one's just really well built. You know, they're very, very strong bikes. You know, you deserve a medal if you manage to break one of these, that's for sure. So yeah, it was really great. So as far as riding goes, it'll cruise at 80 kilometers an hour just fine, you know, all day. It's happy at 80. And that's like a decent speed here on the Highway 1. You might think, being a Westerner, that's like too slow, but it's fine. 80 kilometers an hour is fine. You'll be passing most of the people on the highway except the buses, which are, you know, like insane, and they just pass everyone. So yeah, this is the one I picked. But because a lot of people say, well, I don't want to have to carry my helmet around with me, and that was something I worried about as well, you know, like that's kind of annoying to have to carry that around. So what I did was I got the box on the back here, and what this allows is, see, it's open right now. So once it opens, you can see there's a decent amount of room in there. So this will fit my helmet. I got my spares in there, like inner tubes and things like that. So it just allows you to have all of that stuff in the back of the bike, which makes it a lot easier. So you can ride to wherever you need to go. You just open up the box, you've got your spare tubes in there if you have a puncture. I never did, but I guess I was really lucky, and I was also careful with how I was riding. And I could put my raincoat in there as well, so I could fit my rain jacket, my waterproof pants for when it rains, because it does rain a lot in Vietnam. When it rains, it really rains. And you could put my helmet and gloves in the back there. So if you're going to get the XR, I would say definitely get the box on the back like this. It's going to make your life a lot better. As far as the bike itself goes, I have sat on the other ones, but I haven't ridden them. The things like the Honda Winner, I believe, the Yamaha Exciter, and those ones. This is a lot bigger. You sit up a lot higher. The seat is more comfortable, and also there's more suspension, so it's quite good. The XR, I would say, this is the bike to pick if you're someone that's wanting to go everywhere, do everything, and you want just something that's near indestructible. Because it never missed a beat, not once, the whole time. So very, very good bike. What you will need to do is to get the oil changed every 1,000 kilometers. You can just calculate this based on Google Maps. That's what I did, sort of roughly calculated. I just took the XR to Honda and they handled it, and it's not expensive. It was like 110,000 dong, 120,000, which is like, I guess, $5 US, around that much. So it's not much to get the oil changed, but you need to do that every 1,000 kilometers. So just get that done. There's plenty of Honda stores. If you go with the Yamaha or something like that, those ones are good. Those Yamaha ones, like the Yamaha Exciter and that, they're a lot smaller, but they're also, it's actually more powerful. The engine's more powerful than this one. So you will be able to go a bit faster. They'll be maybe a bit more exciting, but you won't be able to go maybe quite as many places. You know, like the XR can go everywhere, where those ones maybe you can't go to as many places. So that's what I would say. So that's the route, that's the bike. As far as like finding fuel and stuff, there's petrol stations everywhere. This just took 95. You just go in, you just point at 95 and you just say fill and they'll put it in. The fuel's cheap here, so that's not a problem. Riding on the roads here, as far as tips go, I would say just definitely keep your wits about you. Use your horn all the time. You need to be beeping. You got to be aggressive if you're going to get through places. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but once you sort of get into the flow, just do what everyone else is doing. Just don't try to do your own thing. Just do what everyone else does, and you'll be right. Follow the crowd, and you'll be okay. So yeah, this is definitely the bike I would recommend. It's going to be more expensive than the other ones usually, but if you're an experienced rider like me, then this is the one I would go for. If you're a less experienced rider, then I would probably go for something like that, like a semi-automatic scooter would be probably a good place to start. Not a fully automatic. I don't think if you're going to do the whole country that would be a good idea, but the semi-automatic scooters would definitely be a good idea if you're an inexperienced rider, because this is still a decently big bike for a new rider. It's not to say you definitely couldn't do it, but you could, and it's going to be really good. Now people will say, well, things like the Honda Win and those types of bikes, they're sort of like a classic one. I did see a few of them around. I did see a few foreigners riding them around, and boy, did they have quite a few problems with them. So I would say, sure, you can get one of those if you want. If you're not planning on renting and you want to buy as well, then they're a good option. But keep in mind that out of all the bikes I saw break down the most on my trip in Vietnam, it was definitely those ones. So keep that in mind, where my one, the Mighty One, never broke down, not even one time. I would also say get yourself a decent helmet like I did. I got this sort of like motocross helmet with a visor on it. This was really good. This was kind of expensive though. This was like 2 million dong, so like, you kind of have to weigh that up. But for me, like having a good helmet is like a big part of it. So I would say definitely like getting something like this would be a good idea for you guys if you're gonna do something. And of course, wearing gloves is a must. Any experienced rider knows that. As soon as you fall, the first thing you're gonna do is put your hands down. And if you're not wearing gloves and you're gonna graze your hands, you're gonna take all the skin off them, and then good luck riding after that. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say in this video. That's my advice for if you're going to do a trip in Vietnam, and sort of like what bikes to pick, general advice on what to do, how to ride. As far as parking goes, you can, all the hotels and stuff, hostels will allow you to park the bike inside. That's not a problem. If you go to a touristy area, they'll have secure parking. And just generally around the cities, there's often just like security guards and parking areas like that. You pay, it's not much. You pay very, very little, and they will look after your bike for you. So don't worry about parking. I would definitely say you can park it anywhere as long as you could see it, but I wouldn't just park it somewhere random, especially in the bigger cities, if you cannot see the bike. Because although in my experience I haven't seen much crime here, it's not a good idea to just do that. And I would certainly not do what I'm doing right now if I was going to walk away and leave like your helmet, especially if you get a more expensive one, just on the seat or something like that, because when you come back it's going to be gone. There's a lot of, I guess, crime of opportunity is how I would put it. When people just see something like that, they'll just take it. So just don't do that, okay? Make sure you lock it in the back. And then, yeah, make sure your bike's in sort of secure parking or something like that. Now, I travel light, and that's what I would suggest you do as well. I just had my big backpack on, and that made it a lot easier. One trick you can do is if your straps are long enough, you can just let it go as loose as it can, and then your bag will kind of like sit down on the back seat here and be pushed up against the box. And that way you're not carrying that weight on your shoulders. So that's what I did, and that's good advice. A German guy I met who was riding the same bike as me, he also did something similar. You know, some people will also sit further back on the seat and they'll run with their bag on their front, and that way it kind of will like rest on the gas tank. Yeah, I didn't like doing that as much. A lot of people do that on the scooters, but the smaller bikes. But yeah, I would say that's probably the best way, especially if you got the box on the back, because you can kind of lean against it a little bit. I wouldn't lean against it too much though. But yeah, that's a good thing. And I got this one from Dragon Bikes, and it was very, very good, so I would recommend them. Teach It is another good one. Obviously, make sure my one's dirty now because I've been everywhere with it. Make sure you check the bike over first, you know, give it a good look over, make sure everything's working. And if you're going to get a bike like this, but you're a little bit less of an experienced rider, I would say back in your home country, if you have a friend that has a motocross bike or something like that, just try to get some experience first before you come here, because the roads here are kind of crazy. They're good in the sense that a lot of the cars are used to bikes around, so it's not too bad in that way. But yeah, I would say Vietnam's a decent place to learn how to ride, but the more experience you have going into it, it's definitely going to be better for you. I'm going to round out this video here, guys. I hope you liked it. I hope it's informative, and I hope if you're planning on doing a trip on Vietnam that you do, because it was definitely one of the best experiences of my life. Just make sure you do your research first. Pick a good bike, get it from a good company, and then go from there. Okay, guys, I'll see you next time.